no idea if I can make this work, but I'm gonna try to take a video of this. So, got epoxy here. I'm going to put this, keep mixing this. Let's set this right there, I think. Maybe it'll capture it, maybe it won't. What I'll do, half. That ought to grab it. Cool. Keep mixing. Mix the shit out of it. This is the ACP Composites Easy Land epoxy. 2 parts A to 1 part B by volume. I feel like if we really wanted to get this really nice, we can vacuum this up, but we're not gonna do that. No, not that nice. Can't be that nice. Been mixing for maybe a minute before I started the video, so I'll give you an idea what kind of time we're looking at. I have a mold over here. I've got roving here. I've got a line attached to that. That is essentially going to an old fishing stringer, but a string that is tied to the end. That has gone through my silicone tube. What we're going to do is we're going to pultrude some carbon. That off. Really should be doing this on my desk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way. Set this up. Cool. So yeah, this is 16 strands of 50K roving carbon fiber. It's attached to a string that goes through a silicone tube that is the length of the part that I need. And that's obviously pulled through. Stringers are kind of nice because they got this little ring at the end. Easy for pulling. So what I want to do is I want to lower this into the resin like so. I want to make sure the material gets fully soaked. And remember the the carbon to resin ratio is important, but in this situation we're getting kind of good enough because I'm just trying to make a simple pultruded carbon tube, so basically like a bent carbon rod. So I've got an arbitrary shape that I want to be able to hit, and what I want to do is I want to be able to make that shape, a nice stiff carbon fiber part. So I'm going to dip that in, make sure that is fully wetted. There's a lot of excess resin, obviously, like not blind. So what I want to do is make sure that's all nice and coated. Cool. Looks gross. If you left this like that, you have a hell of a party. So what we're gonna do, get that cleaned off again. Sit over here where I don't glue myself together with something else. I'll set that into a bucket. Before. Cool. Then what I need to do is I need to pull my string through my tube. So string, pulling that through here. The last time I did this with 8 strands of 50K, and it seemed to be nowhere near enough carbon. So the carbon resin ratio was like really garbage, to be honest. So what I did this time is I doubled it up to 16. So we're gonna see kind of how well this pulls through. It's gonna get kind of difficult, but you can see as I pull a string through, the tube gets kind of, when you pull a tube right, it gets a little narrow in diameter, and that's kind of a problem. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna work my way down this strand. And that's gonna do is it's gonna squeeze off the excess resin, and then hopefully compress the carbon roving quite well. We'll see. It's kind of a bit of a pushing a rope situation. Stand on that. By no means a professional at this, so I am winging it. If anyone's a professional at this, the company's probably doing it wrong, to be honest. But people that want to make fun hobby things, it's a great idea. Okay, making progress. So I cut all the roving to be the length of the part that I want, plus a little excess, probably 50 millimeters on each end. Obviously, gloves are a great idea anytime you're working with epoxy. Oh yeah, that's working good. The one downside of this process, I think, is that you really kind of squeezing the resin completely out. So getting a consistent resin content is going to be very hard to do. Going to see. Because, obviously the tubing can neck down. So like when the tubing necks down, it's going to squeeze out more of the resin. So you may end up with a spot where you're actually squeezing out more of the resin than in other areas. But here's the job done. That's what we're going for right now. Good old fashioned that'll do. Cool. So the carbon is like all the way in, more or less. It's just not made it to the other end of the tube. So I've obviously got some stretch in my tube that I need to kind of work out. So I'm trying to work my way to the other end of the carbon. So I've got the other end of the carbon exposed here. It's really amazingly dry, which is quite incredible. What I might do is kind of try to get this to be at a relaxed state so that I don't want it to be too stretched out on one end or the other. And what I'll do is I'll allow that to hold up. This is a really low viscosity carbon, so it should flow, or resin, so it should flow pretty easily. I want it to flow to that other end. Really dry. Okay, cool. So my goal now is get it on hold. Should be exciting. Mold's pretty simple. It's just a shape to kind of hold this thing into shape. Something like that. Maybe that accurate. Maybe what I can do, I'm going to try. I took the original mold, the 3D printed mold before. Use that to push the part down, but it doesn't look like it's going to work very well. If I could just, sit here for another 12 hours would be great. I can't do that. So, I have to get crafty. How am I going to hold this? Could wrap the whole thing in tape. I'll get fresh gloves on this. What's fun is like once you've got it in the tube, it's not very There's not very much resin on the outside. I'm going to take some tape. The downside of this mold, the mold's made out of plaster. Plaster was molded with Vaseline as the mold release, so you know, nothing likes to stick to that. Close though, we're very close. This tape's really good. Obviously, if you're working on some aerospace problems, you got better ways of molding things. I'm just trying to come up with a down and dirty way to make a carbon part. Somewhat learned this technique from a guy that works for an outdoor apparel company. He was making his own backpack poles. Very curious about how he did it. That hole into place. Yeah, I think that'll do it. It's more or less resting on that plate. I think it'll be okay. One downside is it's definitely going to drain, which I'm not really keen on, but maybe I can flip it over. It won't drain. Is this one with the done idea? Could be the done idea. Could be the dumbest idea to do. The sections may not turn out super round, but that's okay. What I'm mostly interested in is keeping resin in the part. So if gravity makes that resin equalize, then we should be good, because this part's gonna get lopped off anyway. Put the highest part on the other ends on that end. So hopefully that'll lead to a much nicer looking part. But we'll see. So yeah, we got hot mess right now. It's gonna be great. Show you guys what's up tomorrow.